Hey, great morning, moms and dads. Today we're going to talk about how your parenting style affects your child's self-esteem. Have you ever wondered why your child's kind of shy or sitting back in the background or getting bullied at school? And here's what I know after living 48 years on this planet and raising a bunch of babies. Confident kids don't get bullied on the playground, okay? So self-esteem and confidence is very, very important. I know when I started in personal development at the age of 21, it literally took me 10 years to believe in myself. So gosh, we ask ourselves as parents, how successful would you like your kids to be at school? And how successful would you like your kids to be in life? Of course, we're Bonnie and
Thomas Liotta.
Yes, and we're the authors of Learn to Speak Kid and Raising Healthy, Happy, Cooperative Kids. And just a little bit about us, for those of you that don't know, I've actually been in personal development for 25 years. I studied it for more than 15 years, and then I've also coached and trained tens of thousands of individuals through conference calls and different avenues from stages and whatnot. I met Thomas in 2011, and he has literally worked with thousands of kids his entire life, starting by coaching Little League Baseball, opening his own martial arts studio, becoming a black belt there in 1994, and making a decision that I believe is a life-changing, actually world-changing decision when it came to teaching his students, and now when it comes to parenting our children. So we're going to talk about the 4 basic parenting styles that are being taught today. And we're going to start with authoritarian. Now, this is where parents are very strict. You do as I say because I said so. And they may even get a spanking or a switch taken to them. I know there are some states and probably some parts around the world where they still use switches. That's authoritarian. Do you have anything else to add?
Well, you know, the authoritative, let's call those like
I haven't been there yet. We're just talking about the 4 different types of parenting, and then we're going to talk about how they affect self-esteem.
Authoritarian. You know, I like to just say that, you know, it has a place if you've never done anything else before. That might have been the way you were raised, and you're doing what you know, and you probably have a really good intention, right? You mean well. You can see that there's a better path for them to follow, but it might be the way that we're actually sharing it is room for improvement. So I know you're doing the best you can with what you know, and if there was another way to change just a little bit to create a different effect, that's where you would be open if you are seeking for a solution in our group.
Well, yeah, I remember authoritarian. I remember it was like I was born in 1972, so it must have been around 1978. My mom was running around the house going, why don't you listen to me? I'm not supposed to spank you anymore. So it's like the parents in the 70s and 60s and 70s were going through this transition of, I was beat and spanked my whole life. Now I can't beat and spank my children. What do I do instead? And authoritative parenting was introduced to the masses through Dr. Spock, who wrote Baby and Child Care in 1946. So authoritative is what most of us are being taught. Can you describe what authoritative is?
Well, you know, when you think, once again, it's the authoritative where you're basically don't do as I do, but do as I say. You know, there's so many different ways that we can come across. What it ends up doing is it allows us, whether it's authoritarian or authoritative, it is pushing our thoughts onto the kids. This is key.
Yes.
And there's an underground root to it where it's like, maybe I don't believe they can do it on their own yet. Maybe I don't know if they can learn yet. There's an underlying current that holds you back from believing that they can do it one day all on their own.
Yeah, well, that's amazing because it's not any of our fault, right? We watch Super Nanny. When I was a parent, it was on every single night. Super Nanny videos have millions of views on YouTube, so I know people are watching Super Nanny. And this is, they're still dictating and do as I say, but, I'm going to explain to you why you're being punished or why you're having something taken away. So authoritarian, they beat the children. I don't say we, but authoritarian is when you parent in a way where the child gets spankings. Authoritative is very similar, except for, it's more like where conscious parenting comes from. All these positive parenting programs are coming from an authoritarian perspective, which is still, it's exactly the same as authoritarian. It's like, do as I say or else. It's what we want. So yeah. Okay. There's uninvolved parenting. Right.
Like believing that the kid might be hatched like a spider and be like, I'm just uninvolved. It's just, they'll find their own way. It's almost the most, you're just not there.
What's funny is when we were kids, we used to in the morning and run around and play all day. Our parents had no idea what we were doing, but we weren't getting in any trouble. We were playing tag, or we were playing hide and seek. We were playing all these games. But there were also times that the rest of the time there was a lot of the other kind. It was like, we were uninvolved for like 6, 7, 8 hours. We could go do whatever. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, you're home now. You got to do as I tell you to do. Right. It's kind of confusing for a child. And we're getting to the self-esteem part here in just a minute. We're just doing a basic overview of all the parenting styles. And we're going to share the main similarity that affects our child's self-esteem here in just a minute. So uninvolved is pretty self-explanatory. The kid just eats what he wants, does what he wants, goes to bed when he wants, and the parents are just uninvolved. Permissive parenting style.
Well, it does come to mind when it's permissive. It's like, well, yes, 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 yes. Just passively, just
okay.
You bet.
I just cooked dinner for an hour. You don't want it? I'll make you something else. What can I do to serve you today? It's kind of like permissive parenting. It's kind of like children are living in a hotel with a servant.
They got a little bell to ring and ding-a-ling-a-ling, and you're going to give me everything I want.
Right, you do everything for your child. They do nothing for themselves. So those are the 4 basic parenting styles. And if you're just joining us, we're talking about how certain parenting styles affect your child's self-esteem. And if you're wanting to help them become more confident on the playground or confident, with their peers as they grow up, this is going to be really imperative video for you. So here's the thing that all 4 of these parenting styles have in common. They are all following the logic that your child's behavior is the cause. So there's a universal law of cause and effect. I'm sure you know what that is. So all of these are basing the idea that your child's behavior is the cause. And then the parent's reaction to their behavior is the effect, which is in a sense true. But let's think about this for a moment. Number 1, it's like, who decided to be a parent and bring these little ones into the world in the first place? And who is like older? Who has more experience? Who was here first? Okay, the parent. Who should be the leader in our homes? I'd love to hear your answers in the comments below. Engage with us. We want this to be engaging, not just dictation. We're bringing some information to you that can make your parenting dreams literally come true. We're all doing it. All of our clients are doing it. I did it. I watched all 4 of my kids, all different ages, all different diagnosis, all different personalities, totally transform with absolute empowerment, which is what we're going to get to here in a minute. So all of these have the child's behavior be the cause. The parent's reaction is the effect to the cause. So how does it affect a child's self-esteem? Tom's literally worked with thousands of children over the past couple decades, thousands of them, and has seen some of them literally come to life before his eyes. I've seen it. I've seen kids totally wake up and take on a new zest for life. So what is it about these parenting styles, authoritarian, authoritative, that hurts a child's self-esteem?
Okay. Well, all of them do. Be very straightforward with you. And the reason why, and I can support it this way, think about this. If you say yes all the time, See, this was back in 1994 when I earned my first black belt, and I was actually asked to teach and work with kids. And I was thinking, who could I mentor behind? Because it was like, if you always say yes. So these 4 options here, you're either always saying yes or you're always saying no. It really is this simple.
The common denominator is our children are born into this world for us to control and dictate. And whether you beat them, yell at them, let them run around, or cater to their every whim, the end result is still going to be do it my way or the highway. And that's what all these 4 have in common, which is what we're talking about. Okay,
do what I do, or don't do as I say, but don't do as I do. There's a lot of things we all grew up with.
Yes.
So here's a jingle for us to begin to think about this. The idea now is all 4 of those are designed to take it to the negative side. It's all of those are designed to create chaos and disorder.
Frustration, anger, arguing.
I don't have to prove it to you.
I don't like you. You
You're
control
already
me.
living it. It's already there.
Yeah.
So now, how far can you go without saying yes or a no? Because I can tell you this with absolute certainty. Thousands and thousands of case studies tell us this to be true. If you always say yes, you give them an inch, they're going to take a what?
A mile.
We know this, right? You can't feed the bottomless pit fast enough. As they get older, they want more. You keep saying yes and yes. You could even do a Google search. They tell you now to spend almost $250,000 per kid from 0 to 18. Just buy him stuff over and over. What does that do? It doesn't prepare them to leave the nest. That's number 1 when you always say yes. So I was thinking, well, I can't teach kids by always saying yes because I don't know anybody that's successful doing that.
Well, then you'll be like I was. You'll have 4 kids that overtake your home and leave you exhausted at your wit's end and locked in the bathroom waiting for grandkids. That's where I was at.
This mom had to ask permission to go into her own office.
Guys, can I use my computer?
To use her own computer. To actually watch her own TV. To actually use her own bathroom.
Yes.
Okay. The opposite would be no. You see, when you are told no, what does that really, really mean? This is what's so powerful.
Oh, I want some comments. I want some comments. When your parent said no, absolutely not, what did that mean for you?
Yeah,
what did you do? Did you still find a way to accomplish your goal?
Yes.
Did you just listen to them and go, okay, Mom and Dad, I'm on your side? I would be so interested to hear your feedback in the comments below.
Right. But what no will always produce is the ability, as we watch them, still go after their goal. So you're an obstacle like a rock, and their goal is like the water. They're going to go over, around, or through you. When you say no to a child, no matter what it is, and yes, you might have a moral stance or a safety stance, those will always go without saying. But if you ever say no, you're going to actually teach and train them, and you observe what they do behind your back. They're going to tell you, I'm going here, but I actually went there. I'm going to stay over at this friend's house. They end up being at this other party. They're going to learn to lie, cheat, and steal. So when you say no in any one of these 4, you're going to train them to lie, cheat, and steal and become disconnected from you.
And are we happiest with ourselves when we're lying, cheating, and stealing? You know, kids, like everything that we do affects who our children become. We can like it or not, believe it or not, that is a fact. We are all born without any idea of how the world works or with any idea about who we are as an individual. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about this. You know, every parent that I know, and every parent, like when I was a parent, well, I'm still a parent. Okay, when I was a parent without creating champions for life, I would always tell my kids what to do. When they would fight, I would always get involved and break up the fight. You know, when we had trips, I always planned all the food, the snacks, the road trip, like everything. I did everything for my kids because, you know, I wanted them to live a good life. I wanted them to be happy. I wanted them to know how much I love them. But like, and I'm just going to say this before I pass it, is that I found out once we started empowering them, I found out that they didn't we didn't used to like you. We all used to sneak out of the house, and you'd go to bed and we'd sneak out the basement window. All 4 of them would go to the park. Who knows what they were doing at the park? Okay, so telling them what to do, we think that's our job. We've been trained to do it. But what does telling them what to do all the time, how does that affect their self-esteem, Tom?
Well, it basically tells them inside, are like, so you don't believe in me. You don't believe I can learn. You think I can't do it one day without you. Without you, I'm nothing. It sends across a message that totally violates all Mother Nature's laws. Because every animal in the animal kingdom, including us, we're in the animal kingdom. Every one of us that bears an offspring follows the universal for every kid. And when we don't follow it, things go funny. We do for, we do with, so they can do all on their own and be prepared to leave the nest. That's the sequence. So if we're always saying yes, we're always saying no.
Put your shoes on, get in the car, put your seatbelt on, sit up, stop yelling, stop fighting with your kids. You'll catch yourself, put an elastic band on. Every time you catch yourself doing it, just pull it. And by the end of the day, you'll be like, yes, I do tell them what to do.
Exactly. It is robbing them of their independence. Now, I know a lot of us that you look on a tax form and it says, name how many dependents you have. Well, of course they're dependent. Yeah, from 0 to 2, you do everything for them. But there's a magical moment right there at age 2 where at birth, the physical umbilical cord is severed, right? They cut that. The doctor does that, or you do home birth, it's cut. But at age 2, there's an emotional umbilical cord that needs to be severed, which means stop doing it for you. Stop doing this for me and believe that I can learn. Let me come to you with my goal. So this is back to that jingle jangle. How far can you go without saying yes or no? Those are the rookie mistakes that everybody makes that causes chaos. But there's a third option, and it's right there in the middle. Yes, no, or maybe. Now, maybe is kind of an interesting word because it's really a question. If we were to grab it and pull it apart, they're really asking you, Mommy, can I have a cookie? What they're really saying when we really listen, may I be like you? May I be able to do what you do? May I be just like you and be able to have my own offspring and train them to duplicate just like we're doing now is a sweet spot. And that was an aha moment for me when I was like, I know nobody successful ever that always said yes. Give them an inch, they take a...
Yep, they take a mile.
Anybody always said no, can't, don't, won't. Well, then they start to learn to do it without you. Lying, cheating, and stealing is what we would see.
Terrible twos.
Right.
There's been lots of names for everything in between. Teenage rebellion.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the sweet spot, how far can you go without saying yes or no? It's that may I be like you and get back into the sweet spot, because that has been the saving grace for thousands of families that see this option. Unleash those 4 labels that you have as far as a parenting style and take on this new adventure that's right down the middle. And you'll begin to see your kids go, oh, they believe in me. They're starting to hear what's important to me. And the big kids, we call them, you might be an adult, but think of yourself as the big kid. You're that trusted advisor that they come to, and you can show them how it does work, and they can do it all on their own. Now, you know, and I know that they already have trusted advisors. That's that older teenager that you don't want them hanging out with. Why? Because they see their goal, and they're willing to help them make it happen. And that's very key.
Yeah, so low self-esteem children will very easily follow bad influences, right? So the subject that we're talking about is the key. And I think the biggest thing is, as we as parents begin to look at our babies not as babies, but as little human beings who have desires, who would love to have purpose in their life. And, you know, 100 years ago, yes, they parented very authoritarian. Children were locked in closets, beaten with switches. That was the parenting before we started kind of catering to their every whim. But 2-year-olds didn't didn't eat unless they did their job first. I mean, we lived on a farm. Parents had more kids back then so that they would have more workers on the farm. These kids worked, you know. But the 2-year-olds, as they were putting the forks on the table or helping clear off whatever it is that they were doing, sweeping the floor, 2-year-olds can put all their toys away and everything. You know, they can do lots of things on their own. They can put on their own socks, right? They can play with something, take it off. They can put it away. But we need to have the patience to go, oh, the 2-year-old's going to be 4, 5, 7, 8 soon. So if you know, let your babies play and you look at them as babies instead of human beings who need to learn and grow, then we'll come in and we'll clean it all up for them. And, you know, lots of times by the time they're 4, 5, 6, and 7, we start yelling at them to put their things away, but we never actually took the time to transfer the responsibility by teaching specific life skills.
Right. Now let's just piggyback this onto something we know to already be true in your own world. You get hired for a job, you don't know how to do it. Do they have a training course? Do they have a training time? A lot of times in the trade industry, you go to college to learn to get a welding certificate, or you get a type of certificate of education before you apply. Right? Because without that, wouldn't it be silly? You get hired, you don't know what to do, and all they do is told you don't, and they yell at you. How would that ever be an environment of positive? So if you can relate that to what we're doing and you haven't authentically took the time to show them, not tell them.
We're going to talk about it tomorrow,
all right,
Tom.
all right.
We'll talk about how to teach life skills tomorrow, because today's was very specific on why does my child have low self-esteem? Why is my child getting picked on at school? Why does my child not speak up? And children that have low self-esteem can be hyperactive children. You'd be able to tell by the results that they're getting in our life. So I just remember when Jenny was about 3 years old and we were going to visit, a family, and we're all happy, and we pull in there and we went to undo the seatbelt and she started freaking out. And we didn't understand this concept at all, which is why it's so powerful. But she started freaking out and it was like, stop it. And we went over and just undid her seatbelt, and then she screamed like somebody was like bloody blue murder. Like she screamed at the top of her lungs like we had just hurt her, and there was no hurting her, but we did hurt her. We didn't hurt her physically. We hurt her emotionally, spiritually. It was like, oh God, I'm going to cry. But it was like when we do that to our kids, and we do it unwittingly, obviously we want them to be happy, we want the best for our kids. But when we do too much for our kids, we're really like hurting them on a spiritual level, on an emotional level. We're giving them the feeling that my life doesn't matter. There's no purpose for me being here. I'm just someone that you can boss around and tell what to do. And my Jenny, there was just no way she was gonna deal with that. But I didn't understand, and I wish I had these videos to watch when I was a young mom, and I would have raised my kids completely differently. We would love to hear your feedback, your comments below. If you have a friend that could use this information, that's struggling with the behavior of their children, please do invite them into the group. And if you're someone that's looking to master this, like you're like, oh, everything they say makes sense. Hopefully this message means something to you and helps you get pointed in a more positive direction. All right. So until we meet again, here's to your parenting success. Cheers. Cheers.